Hi, ladies and people and educators first. I don't know, are there any guys in here? There might be. I don't know. But my name is Judi Meredith, and I am going live tonight because Mallory so generously asked me to come back and do a live presentation for everybody. So here I am. And I took my phone off of Wi-Fi because I was doing a live earlier in my private group that I have on Facebook, and I kept getting thrown off, and I'm like, why am I getting thrown off? And then I realized, maybe I should cut out of get out of the internet, disconnect that from my phone, use the data only, because maybe that'll be more consistent, because I really don't want to get thrown off here while you guys have taken the time to show up and be here today. So let me tell you a little bit about me. I am a licensed professional counselor and have been for about 3 decades now going on. So I am changing over from therapist to coach. And so I'm making some shifts and adjustments, and it's been really, really busy for me lately. But my client, the client that I very often help most of the time and have through the years, are women who have been abused in relationships. So, and really what that means is that a lot of times when we think of abuse, we think of, oh gosh, really, really bad abuse, or somebody being beaten, or somebody being raped, and all of that. And all of that does go on in relationships, I'm sorry to say. But oftentimes, women are covertly abused, like under the table kind of abuse, where it's not real in your face type abuse, but it's very damaging to women and to their senses of self. So a lot of the women who come to me are just confused, and they don't understand what's going on, because the abuse is not that kind of overt in your face abuse. But one of the things that these women are having to deal with when they are trying to break free of these relationships, and they're trying to reboot their life, like create an amazing life for themselves, and then they're also trying to break the patterns of these relationships so that they don't keep getting into them over and over again. Because chances are, if you've been in a relationship like this, there's something going on that probably needs to be adjusted within you so that you don't find yourself getting into another one. Their work is really to be the best version of themselves that they can be. And essentially, that's really what we all want, right? I mean, that's what I'm working on right now. My current goal in life is to be the best version of myself that I can be, and have as much fun as I can in life. That's kind of my second goal. But, one of the things that really gets in the way of that, I would imagine that's your goal as well, but one of the things that really traps us up and gets in the way of achieving that is not being able to forgive and not being able to have forgiveness. So I'm just going to speak a few minutes on this topic, and I'm hoping that you can take something away from it that will help you in your own life. So I've got some notes here, just a little presentation prepared for you. So what I wrote on my notes is, what does forgiveness have to do with this? What does forgiveness have to do with being the best version of yourself? And over in the side I wrote, I would say it has everything to do with it. So, okay, so a little history on me, personal me, is that I grew up in an alcoholic family of origin, and I was released into the world early and very ill-equipped emotionally and in every other way, because when you come from a family that's sick and a family that is not healthy, You are not learning the things that you need to learn to be a healthy individual, not only just within the relationship with yourself, but within the relationship with other people. And I really was unaware at the time of how really damaged I was from it. But nevertheless, you know, being humans like we are, I pushed through, and I just lived the very best life that I could with who I was at every given time during my lifespan. I made many, many mistakes, especially with relationships. And I always felt an underlying feeling of anger. So I knew there was an issue, but I didn't realize how angry I was because I was a master of denial, okay? Which also comes from, you know, growing up in those families that are unhealthy. It's like there's an unspoken rule, or maybe even a spoken one, not to talk about things, and not to talk about your feelings. Don't have any feelings, don't have any needs, because we don't care and we can't meet them. So, you know, it's really, it's the unfortunate truth of how sick families are. And when a child grows up without those things, you become very angry, and you're angry, and you take that anger with you through life. So as I was living my life, I realized that the stuff I did and the stuff that I did not do as a result of my early programming, because it is programming, we're talking, you know, brain hardware and everything here. I started to realize that all of this stuff would have to be forgiven. Like I would have to find a way to make peace with it all, to clear it out, to clean it out. It's like if you're living in a really dirty house and everything's a mess. I'm sure you guys can relate because everybody on here is busy. I'm busy. It happens. And you know how bad you feel until you get it all cleared out, all cleaned out, all sanitized, all organized, and then you can start to feel good again. It's the same thing in your personal emotional life. Failure to forgive just is, it's nasty. It's like, think of it as dirt that needs to be cleaned out. So I was left with this awful task of having to forgive. If I wanted to get to that place of being my true authentic self, where I would be able to be the person that I was meant to be and was intended to be and could be and would have been if I hadn't had to deal with all of that heavy emotional abusive stuff that I went through. So I really wanted to get to be her too, and that's a process, and I'm in that process right now, and I like to think I'm making some progress with that. But emotional immaturity is a huge byproduct of living in an unhealthy family, and then when you're emotionally immature, you don't do appropriate things in relationships, and you don't take care of yourself well. Currently, with the work that I've done on myself and helping other people to achieve what they want to achieve as well, I feel like I am really much more aware. I'm aware of myself and what I need to work on and other people and what's going on around me. But I still have the early programming that I have to overcome. So my main goal, really, to be my best self, my main goal is really try to get in touch with the person, the true me that I would be without all of this craziness going on. So in order for me to be that person who I truly am, without the influence of the abusive upbringing, I had to let go of a lot of shame. Because if I didn't let go of that shame, I would never see myself ever as deserving of anything better, and then I would stay locked into that identity of being somebody who's less than, who's carrying around the shame, who, you know, didn't grow up right, wasn't cared for, wasn't loved. So how am I approaching this goal? I mean, I'm just, when I'm speaking it out loud to you, I can hear in it the enormity of it. Although all of us have this work to do on some level, even if you had a super happy family. the world is just a tough place to be in. So we're all affected. But, you know, how am I going to do it? How will you do it? Simply put, I'm making a choice to do it. Okay, I'm making a choice to have forgiveness for everybody and anybody who I ever encountered, because we are all fallible human beings, and as we go through life and bump into one another, we hurt one another. And carrying that all around is going to really prevent me from living clearly, living cleanly, living with joy. So I made a choice. So forgiveness of yourself and others is just a choice that you make, and it's like any choice you might make, like even in your business or in your day-to-day work, or in your personal life. So think about how you make your choices. You might make a pros and cons list. You might discuss it, process it with other people. And there's a choice making cost benefit analysis that you're probably undergoing with everything that you do. Okay. So, asking yourself, what would be the benefits of making a choice to forgive? And maybe listing those out, maybe listing out what benefits, you know, and what would be the drawbacks. You know, sometimes subconsciously we ask, what do I have to give up if I make this choice to forgive? And that's where we can get tripped up, because we really don't want to let go of righteous anger. And we don't want to let go of that part of our identity that is defined by what happened to us, because it's like a big chunk of us that's going to have to go, and we're like, well, what's going to be in that place? And so sometimes we hang on to stuff and just, you know, hang on to it. It's a part of what we know. It's what we're comfortable with. So recognizing that, you can still move forward by making a conscious choice to forgive. You can still say, yeah, I am really angry about that, and yeah, I like to rant on that, and yeah, that connects me to my sister or my husband or whoever, and that's, you know, part of what you bonded about, but it's hard to let go of. But once you make that choice to forgive, now you've entered into a new world where there's going to be a process that's going to happen over time in your life, and things are going to change. Once you make that decision to say, this isn't good for me. This is like eating chocolate cake or ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. It's just not good for me. I'm feeding on something negative, and I need to let go of it. Once you make the decision, then you open the door for the process to start, okay? Here's the thing that you must remember. Forgiveness does not happen in an instant. It is a process over time. You're going to grapple with things. You're going to maybe journal on things, maybe talk to friends, maybe talk to yourself in your head, and you're going to start to let go, and you're going to have acceptance. And we'll talk about acceptance in a minute, because it's a huge part of forgiveness. But then you're going to think you're good, and then like next week or next month, that thing, that event, that person is going to pop into your head, and you're just going to go, ugh, you know, and you're going to want to blame them again, and then you're going to have to go through your process and talk yourself through that again. And then over time, you notice that it's less and less, and over time, you notice that you start to have more gratitude. You start to have more just empathy, maybe, for the person who you're trying to forgive. You start to have more empathy for them. You start to understand that people are human, and we always do the best that we can with who we are at the time. And sometimes people's very best is pretty bad, okay? One of my parents in particular, their best was pretty bad, but that was their best. And I don't want to carry that with me anymore. So we've got to make this decision to forgive over and over and over. And all of this forgiveness has a biophysiological component, because as you learn these new skills, these new emotional skills, emotional maturity really is what you're doing, your brain starts to lay hardware down to support these skills in your brain. So you're reprogramming yourself. Early programming is one thing, and it's tough to overcome, but you can also, the brain is very plastic. There's so much plasticity there. We can add new neural pathways to support new ways of being, new ways of thinking. It takes practice over time. It's like learning to tap dance. When you first put those shoes on, you're going pretty slow with it. But once you've got the neural pathways going in your brain, it's just coming out of you, because it's supported. And this is the same for emotional growth as well. Let's see. Yeah, you're essentially committing to change over time. As the process maybe gets difficult, you want to always remember your why. You want to ask, why am I doing this? Why is this important? And I'm going to tell you, here's your why. Here's one of your whys, okay? When we refuse to forgive somebody, it means that we still want something from that person. Wanting something from another person keeps you tied to that person until you no longer want it, okay? It keeps you stuck and tied to them forever. It's essentially giving your personal power to be joyful and be all that you can be. You're giving that away, and you're giving it away to somebody who hurts you. Definitely not a good outcome on the cost-benefit analysis, that we were talking about earlier. Not a good outcome. It can keep you stuck for years. What you're wanting is a repayment that will never come, and can lead you to be mad, sad, stuck, and depressed. Because this hope is never going to be realized. You're tied to the person endlessly, and you haven't set an appropriate boundary between you and them. But when you work your way toward cutting that person loose, you're going to realize many, many benefits. Many benefits. You're going to get energy returning to your life, not just your body, but energy in every way, like the ability to be creative, the ability to just sit and be with yourself and be happy, do good self-care. You'll finally be free, and you will immediately increase your bandwidth to focus on enhancing your life in every way. It will just increase dramatically. Forgiveness essentially will end your suffering. It will end your suffering, because by failing to do it, you're not hurting that other person, you're only hurting yourself. Okay? So my advice is to start with yourself. Okay? If you're going to go on this little, path of emotional growth and letting go, forgive yourself. Let go of the things that you feel you've done or harmed others or yourself. You may have to have a process to go through each thing. You may want to, maybe if you're in counseling or you have a great friend or someone you can talk to and discuss through these events. And, if you're spiritual, you can say a prayer, can send out vibes, whatever you need to do to forgive yourself for each thing that you're holding yourself responsible for. Recognize that it was in the past. Recognize that be aware that you recognize that it was something that you don't want to be and do anymore. That's growth in itself. So give yourself credit for that. Once you can start doing that, it's going to be much easier to understand and forgive others, okay? And that's basically what I want to say about forgiveness. And it is a difficult topic, and it's, far more than just, one short presentation here. But I want to leave you with one last thought, and that is that in this process of forgiveness, there is absolutely no mandate for you to ever reconnect with anybody who has harmed you and for whom you've given the forgiveness. You don't have to reconnect with anybody that you've forgiven, okay? Except yourself, of course. But there's no mandate, and there's no call for that, and it's unnecessary. So you don't want to think that you have to put yourself through something like that. And again, off and piggybacking off that same point is the fact that, you're not giving them a pass for what they did, or you're not saying it was okay. You're just saying that you're not going to live with the effects of that for the rest of your life. Okay? So that's pretty much all that I have to say tonight. And thank you, Megan, Tammy, and Tracy for showing up tonight. And if you have any questions for me, if you have any comments, please feel free to leave them in the comments section when I post this video, because I'll be back on here Wednesday with another topic, and I can answer questions then. I'd be happy to answer your questions then. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys go with that. Have a wonderful Monday night, and enjoy. Do something nice for yourself. And thanks again, ladies, for showing up. Take care. Bye.